A CNN contributor received an advance pat-down from the TSA while she was traveling to New York. This is Angela Rye, and she had a police officer film the pat-down that she experienced. And before I show you the video that she also posted on Twitter, let me give you some context. Rye said that she was singled out for a random search and that she had not set off any metal detector alarms. The TSA called a police officer when she had asked why she was being singled out. Officials told her she could cooperate or be escorted from the airport by police. Now, she has pre-check status, which of course you pay nearly $100 for, and then she has another status in addition to that that allows you to kind of get through the lines a little quicker. Clear, it's called Clear. But regardless of that, they randomly chose her, and this is what happened.
And your palms up to the ceiling like that. Start with your head.
It's a standard screen.
I flash several times a week and this has never happened, so it's alarming. So hopefully
It might be the shoes and the dress.
But I hope you can understand from the standpoint of what it shows on there, it was alarming. Like I just never.
Honestly, 2 weeks ago I had my butt patted down by TSA. I flew into St. Louis, so this is just a standard ATD, and it's true.
So we're going to go across the front, back of the hands. And then I got to hit your right boot. This is where I'm going to need a sock. I don't which.
Is your sock in your thing?
Okay, this story like really stood out to me because it definitely happens when you least expect it, and it's super, super intrusive and humiliating. And the reason why she wanted it to kind of be recorded is so she can let people know, look, this is what it's like. But I had that happen to me. I talked about it in a recent story, and the TSA agent put her hands down my pants inside my underwear. Like in this case, when the TSA agent was going up her leg, she says that her hand, touched her crotch. And yeah, that absolutely does happen, 100%. I used to think, no, come on, they don't actually touch your crotch. They do.
No, absolutely.
Front and back, okay? Inside the underwear, that's what happened. I don't know if she intentionally did that. I'm still willing to give the TSA agent benefit of the doubt because I was wearing skinny jeans and maybe she just didn't know. But it was so uncomfortable and you feel so violated and you feel helpless because you have no choice. And by the way, I'm not the victim of sexual assault or rape. Imagine if you're the victim of sexual assault and rape and you have a stranger touching you like that just so you can get on the flight that you paid hundreds of dollars for.
Well, I have been raped, and I have been a victim of sexual assault, and this has happened to me at the airport, and I felt like I was being singled out, and I have my hair just like this, and they made me take my hair down, and she rubbed her hands all through my hair, and it's also done in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
They don't take you to the back, they don't move you to the side, and it is humiliating, and it is also sometimes you can feel the malice in it. It's not that they're trying to sexually assault you, but they're trying to humble you. And I say this all the time, to work at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, you have to have a degree, but not to be a TSA agent. And I think that I'm not in any way implying that you have to have a post-secondary education to be someone that works at the airport, and I believe that all people should be able to get a job. But I do believe that there has to be some sort of extensive training when you're dealing with this kind of stuff, specifically when you're dealing with people and you're touching body parts.
Right.
And there was no need to have to do through the hair thing. Like, it was just, for me,
That's
you see my
weird.
hair. They made me take my hair down. She rubbed her hands all through my hair, messed my hair up. It was
Yeah,
just.
I'm sorry, I just want to clarify one thing before I forget. So they did offer her to go to a private room, but she didn't want that because she wanted people to see what this is like and what you go through. They asked me to go to a private room as well, but I was running late, and so that could take forever, right, for them to find a room to take you there. So I was like, just do it, and I didn't realize how invasive it was going to be. Sorry.
No, and to both of your points, also being taken to a private room also elicits fear, right? I don't know who's taking me, who are you, what's going to happen, you know, and I think that's also part of the reason why she had it filmed, right, is to show, you know, what actually happened, how she was touched, so it's not just her word against TSA's. And also just to talk a little bit about the response of first the TSA agent who's trying to minimize because he had this happen to him, and also some of the responses on social media who say, you know, this happened to me, or, you know, it's all in the interest of safety, right? People have different relationships to their bodies being touched, right? Whether they be sexual assault victims, whether they be women of color whose hair is touched constantly, right? In various situations at school, right, and just randomly walking through life, right? So when TSA does it, which they did, had a specific mandate to specifically touch black women's hair without question based on stereotypes, which they just ended a while ago. You can see why people would have certain sensitivities to TSA, even if it is in the interest of public safety. So I think people need to consider that before they weigh in with this is just okay and it's, you know, par for the course if you want to fly.
It's not an easy question of where to draw the lines because because on the public security thing you could say, hey, well then how do we know we should do a full body cavity search, right? You could say that you could be hiding things in your cavities, right? So now do you think nope, we should security they should do full body cavity searches at airports? That's crazy, okay? That's nuts. So the question is, where do you draw the line? And for a lot of people, this is way past the line. So yes, it's happened to me too. Yes, I got TSA pre-check. And no, in my case, it had nothing, as far as I can tell, nothing to do with malice. Most of the TSA agents like me. I mean, it's a funny thing to say. I can't say most, but I get recognized all the time by the TSA guys. They're like, hey, Cenk, okay, now I got to do your crotch, right? So anyway, and they did it just got triggered by something in my bag. They didn't even know what it triggered it, right?
Yeah, you know what I didn't think about? She's a firebrand on CNN.
Absolutely.
She's pretty well known. And so if a TSA agent decides they want to do a random search of someone and they recognize them, I mean, they have all the right. I mean, I don't think it's right, but I'm saying their job gives them this, you know, it implies that they have the right to pull over anyone they want.
Well, that's part of where I'm going with this is that, you know, you give power to people and it affects them. And so that's why we have to be so really careful about the power that we give people. Like the Stanford prison experiment, you make people guards and it makes them vicious. So we should teach all of our guards and our wardens about that experiment so that, because it's human nature. It's not that they're bad people. In that case, it was Stanford students. And they became immediately vicious to fellow Stanford students who they knew had done nothing wrong. But the minute you put them in the context of prisoner and guard, they just changed, right? And so when you give people power, that goes to your point, Aida, which is sometimes people want to humble you. Like, oh, you know, and it might have nothing to do with race. It might not have nothing to do with anything. Maybe they're having a bad day, right? And they think, oh, yeah, you looked at me weird, whatever. That's it. Okay, this thing went off. And, you know, you ask them what went off, and legitimately most of the time they don't know, right? And so if they don't know, they could easily say, I don't know, right? Even if it didn't go off, and you get my point. So how much are we going to humiliate ourselves and degrade ourselves at these airports and violate our own privacy? Because we haven't rebelled against this. We're all kind of bowing our head to it. And
because we're scared.
And I'm not saying that it's an easy answer, because it's not like we don't want security at the airport.
Right.
Yeah, of course we want security at the airport. But I just think that maybe the line has moved a little too far now.
And I'm not trying to like shit on the TSA people because I really appreciate what they do. But I'm a touring comic, and I'll tell you that I've traveled all over the world. And the biggest issue that anybody who travels all the time will tell you is the inconsistencies, because you go to one airport, they ask you to take your shoes off. You go to another airport, you don't have to take your shoes off. You can just walk through. Sometimes they throw away your body wash. Sometimes they throw your perfume. Sometimes it's cool to let. So that's confusing to the consumer, and it gives us a sense of we lack trust, because everywhere we go, there's a different system. LaGuardia to Kennedy to Jersey all have different policies. And it's so confusing to the everyday consumer, because we're not aware of where the power is, because at the airport, it's a federal offense to make any kind of statement that is considered inflammatory. So you can't even speak up for yourself, because you could be hauled away and arrested.
Yeah, the second you move
Right.
a finger in a way that they don't like, they immediately threaten you with, we're going to call the cops or get the authorities. And so, I don't know, I'm always on edge when I travel. Like, I'm always
Absolutely.
really uncomfortable, and I actually don't make eye contact with anyone because I'm afraid that someone's going to think I'm looking at them too long, or maybe I'm looking at them wrong.
Right.
And so we shouldn't have to go through all that just because we want to travel. But I agree with you, Cenk, there should be security. It just needs to be sensible security.
And lastly on this, and I think the most important part is, it's hard to come up with where to draw the line on touching people in a security situation. I understand that, and I think we can move the bar a little bit to slightly more lax than the crotch grabbing. Because when they did me, they had to do a double pat down, and in the double pat down, you have to go into a private room, and they don't do the back of the hand, they do the front of the hand, and they touch everywhere. So I think that there's got to be bounds of reason on that. But to me, the more important part is we've kind of recreated the Stanford prison experiment here. We've given people that work at the airport so much power that it's hard not to abuse it because of human nature. Like, you give people that much power and they want to use it, and they feel like empowered to do it, and so, like, what this, and we've talked about this in the past too. Like, you look at a person run the Dunkin' Donuts at the airport wrong. They're like, okay, that's it, federal offense.
Yes.
You're a goner. Don't you look at me, right? Yeah. And so everybody at the airport, the flight attendants, the TSA guys, et cetera, they're not bad people. Of course not. They're normal human people, hardworking folks, generally speaking, right? But once you say to them, hey, you can do anything you want, people are going to abuse that because we're humans. Yeah. So we got to reel that back in a little bit. Right? And how many stories have we done about, people getting kicked off of planes, TSA's going too far, et cetera, because we just gave them way too much power over us. So we've got to find a better balance than this. Podcast the whole 2-hour Young Turks every single day, commercial free, All-Star Tuesdays, Aggressive Progressives, Old School, Post Games, TYT Classics. You get it all with membership. Do it now, tytnetwork.com/join.